All right, here we go. Fresh off a first week victory. Took no time to get our first win. We're back week 2 against the spread picks with some extras. How was Sunday? How'd it go?
It was awesome. I'm just so happy to have it back. It was just amazing. It I don't know. It felt like I guess this is what happens with football season, but like I honestly forgot what it was like to just sit on the couch for like 10 hours straight and
Yeah.
be as invested in literally every possession of every game as possible. Um, I also forgot how much I just get into fantasy for like no reason. Like obviously, fantasy's fun and all, but I had bets going as well. We had these picks to ride on as well, and I always just find myself rooting for my fantasy team. Like there's just something way more I don't know, important and meaningful for fantasy, I guess. You sit there all summer, you do the research, you grind on these dynasty drafts. Now it's like it's
You want
just
the instant gratification week one.
exactly. I did not want to start 0-1, and thankfully
Yeah.
clean sweep. So very, very big.
Yeah, it was funny. I'm going through and it's like 3 o'clock. I'm like, I got that game right. Oh, I got that
Yep.
game right. And then like 6 o'clock, I'm like, wow, I'm 4 for 4 in the late window right now. We're cooking. And then Tennessee blew it, which
Yeah.
maybe was a good thing because then I would have picked Denver if Tennessee won that game.
Yep.
I would have been in first and I would have just stuck with Denver. But now we got not only did we win the week, we're 10 points ahead in the season standings now.
Pretty insane.
So I mean, we're like I think we're like 32 ahead of like fifth place. So we have like a crazy amount of breathing room. I don't know what they were doing, but okay, I'm excited. It all starts off great game of the week Thursday. We got the Chargers at the Chiefs. How do you think these two teams look, and what do you think happens?
So it's so hard to tell because I never ever have a read on the Chargers, especially from last year, right? It was just one week they'd look amazing, and the next week it was like, what the hell is this? Um, Chiefs, I'd say looked maybe a little bit better than expected, but I also think the Tyreek stuff was just completely overblown. Like, yeah, he's amazing, yeah, he's a game changer, but Kelsey's still there, and they have 3, 4 viable weapons. Not to mention their backfield has now seemingly been resurrected. Like, what the hell's up with CEH? All of a sudden, he's just like he's an
Yeah,
end
it
zone
looks
receiver.
slim. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird.
But yeah, so I mean,
-4, or we're getting at -3.5 up to
minus
four.
3.5. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know that the line has moved in favor of the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs in this, but it's right in the middle. Eighth most confident. It's just weird because I think a lot of this is down on the fact that I just don't really rate the Cardinals whatsoever, which obviously,
Okay. Yeah.
so it's like, were they just destroying a really bad team or were they that good? I think they're definitely better than the Chargers. And the line isn't too outrageous to where I feel confident enough in taking them. So that's why they're not at the bottom. It's why they're not at the top. So I think somewhere in the middle.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I had pretty similar. Chiefs at 11th
Okay.
or 11
Yeah.
points,
Yeah.
so pretty confident.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I did not think I was not one of the people on board with the multi-dimensional offense. They got more options now. I really thought they're going to miss Hill.
Yep.
And it's my opinion. I think it's the Cardinals. I think they may just be that bad for now. We got 2 games in a row with them where they lose by 30 points to quality teams.
Right. Right.
It's going into all the way last year. So I put the Chiefs up there. I thought the Chargers looked decent. Not too high in the Raiders either after Sunday, which makes the matchup interesting. Because these two teams, the teams they played, are now playing each other.
Right.
Chiefs at home, though, I just don't think a half a point's really against the threes, really.
Yeah. Right. They're basically
Keenan's out.
Yeah.
Mike Williams looked, like 2018, 2019 Mike Williams, not last year. So I'll go with the Chiefs, right? Mahomes and Andy Reid look pissed off. So.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's just quickly an aside. You were mentioning it. Vegas is saying that they're about even, right? Usually home field's worth about
like
3.
around 3.
And I don't know. I think KC's home field advantage is pretty damn good. So that line feels
especially on a Thursday, right?
So
Yeah.
I think that I'm kind of like talking myself a little bit more into this. So I think 11 is probably about right. Maybe a little bit.
Especially. I mean, we'll see. I don't like a lot of games, so I feel like I'll put Patrick Mahomes on a Thursday home, pretty high up there. Next one I got on here is Pats at the Steelers. Let's see. This might have had some movement. We're getting it at Steelers plus 1.5 up to 2. At Pittsburgh, wasn't really impressed by New England as much as I love Mac. I think the fears about Judge and Patricia might have come true. Those receivers are pretty abysmal. I mean, Aguilar is still getting looks. It's crazy. But in a weird way, you got Ty Montgomery out now.
Mm-hmm.
Ramondre gets some more saps, some more electricity. I'm a little nervous because Mac, they're saying he's actually pretty hurt, pretty banged up with some back spasms. But
Yeah.
I mean, Mitch Trubisky versus Bill Belichick, and what I think is a much better quarterback in Mac Jones. I gave this pretty high, New England, number 12 points.
Okay, wow. So we're about 2 for 2. I got Pats. I have them 10 points.
Nice.
I think just from the Steelers side of things, like I don't think anyone deserved to win that game on Sunday, but I guess you can give it to the Steelers just because on the defensive side they looked pretty good, pretty frisky throughout. Their offense, other than the like, I don't even know how to quantify what happened those first few quarters. They looked like semi decent, and then all of a sudden it's just obviously the it all kind of came apart. But no, TJ Watt is obviously massive, right? Like that's that's as big of a blow as
wrecked that
you
game.
can get, right? But I also don't think the Pats look very good. It's going to be super ugly. It's probably going to be like a 6-3 game. But that'll cover the spread. So let's go Pats.
Yeah. I think the metrics I was looking at had that Pats Dolphins game more at like a 17-14 Dolphins win.
Mm-hmm.
What probably should have been the score.
Right.
But I mean, even then, I feel like what I wanted to see was a 28-24 Patriots loss, right?
Right.
The way they lost almost makes it worse than I don't really care that they lost. I think the Dolphins are pretty solid. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. TJ Watt out. Go with the Pats.
Yep.
Next game on here, the team that killed a bunch of people in Survivor, and then the team that was the only one between 6 and 13 confidence we got wrong last week. We got the Colts at the Jags. Jags will be getting 4.5 points.
Yep. Yeah. I have the Colts here, but it's my 6th least confidence. I'll give it 6 points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Colts can look worse than they did, right? Like, is it possible to look worse than they did? Did you see that Michael Pittman he's on the injury report for something. He's now been listed as questionable for fantasy. So I mean that's probably nothing. But I mean, that offense also looked quite discombobulated. And I don't mean to offend your boy Matt Ryan, but like it's clearly a team that's just been predicated on ground and pound. And the second they kind of try to go away from that, it seems like they got a little confused and lost on how to just pace control without just hammering the ball to JT like 30 times a game. Pittman's obviously really good, but the rest of the skill guys, other than Taylor, of course, leave quite a bit to be desired. But I don't know. I do think that their offense still is better than the Jags, of course, based solely on the fact that Pittman and Jonathan Taylor are sweet. And if they go up, they can go back to their old style of just, grounding and pounding and getting to business. So I think.
Yeah. 3 for 3 here because I got Colts for 10 points. They lost. They had a lot of errors, but I think when the offense was moving, it looked almost how we expected it. I thought it looked good when it was going good. Yeah. It was just a matter of they had some 0 percentile plays, right? Like the worst plays you can make on a football field. Yeah. So it's week 1. It's a new quarterback. It's basically, new quarterback, new coaching staff coming together. Yep. Coach that hasn't really run stuff that Matt Ryan likes to run.
Yeah.
I think, you would have liked them to come out and whoop the Texans, but it's week 1. And I thought as bad as it was, there were signs that it looks like Matt Ryan, it's not washed. And I feel like that was the biggest question for week 1. He still got it. What he threw for, I think 350 plus yards.
Yeah.
And man, they ran a lot of plays. I feel like the whole game they had the ball. The whole game they were moving it. The whole game they were messing up. And I don't think Jacksonville's going to be able to make them pay. Well, I thought, some of the throws Lawrence is making is just so ugly. Like, come on. Like, and he could have had ETN for 3 touchdowns. The throws he's making. And it's funny because, the one was impossibly bad. But then the other, people are putting on ETN for missing the catch. You got him 5 feet away from you, and he makes like a Wentz-like pass where he throws it 5 feet above his head, and he has to jump up. He drops it, but it's just a flat route to the running back right in front of you. And the receivers, I said last week they're professionals, but at the end of the day, they're bad professionals. I think Zay Jones had the highest like expected points on the team, which they're gonna repeat that. It's not gonna work. So I'll go with the Colts. We'll put it pretty high. I like that.
Yep. Cool.
Next up, we got another big one. Panthers at the Giants, and somehow the New York Football Giants are giving 2.5 points at home.
Yeah,
What's your take?
I'm not having it. I'm not having it. I think a lot of this analysis is just going off of how I think every team's opponent was, and I don't think the Titans are really any good. I think especially week 1, I think the Titans just, I don't know, it just kind of feels like their thing to come out a little bit flat, especially with no AJ. Also, weirdly enough, it was, I mean, obviously, of course, they're going to be super reliant on Derrick Henry. And this happened last year, though, where it's kind of they try to run in some of the other guys. So was it Hilliard had 2 like wheel route touchdowns. Obviously, Henry doesn't have much work in the receiving department, but I don't think he had nearly as many carries as he's used to. So I get the feeling that they're definitely going to go back to that sooner rather than later. And before we know it, he'll have like 40 touches. But I think the Giants caught him at a good time because they tend to do better once everyone starts to doubt them. And that's probably this point. Once the Giants beat you, you start to get doubted. But I don't know. The Panthers didn't look very convincing either, but which is a big blow to my ego because they were my lock last week. The Baker Revenge. Yeah. But now Cleveland's defense looks really good. And I don't know. You're always going to be in the game when Chubb and Hunt are running the ball and making plays like they did last week. So I think that the Giants are not as good as anyone.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I mean, like best case, the Giants are a worse version of the team Carolina played last week.
Exactly.
And with Carolina playing awful, still probably should have won the game. I don't really get how they're getting 2.5 points. What'd you have it for?
12 points for the
Panthers. I had it for 13. So
yeah, wow, so we're good.
I mean, I just don't get it. I honestly think this is the worst line I've ever seen. In my life. It's after one game, because of a running back's performance, we're making the Giants home fair. I don't get it. It just awful. I don't think much needs to be said. Carolina, though, last week for us, they were our 14-pointer and blew it at the end.
And somehow we still made it work. So
yeah, we just
respectable
made it work. Okay, I'll put that in there I'll do 13. All right, in agreement so far. Next, you got a big one. You sent me a text earlier. Bucks at the Saints. Saints getting, let's see, 2.5 home.
Yeah, I just realized I didn't put my lines in your sheet, so let me do that really quickly, or my ranks right now on your sheet. But as I do that, I have Bucks minus 2.5, and I have it as my 7th most confident. I don't know. Here's my rationale on this one. The Saints own Brady and the Bucks, but Brady also has very little to play for at this point, right? So maybe one thing he's actually got circled is finally beating the Saints in the regular season, right? So they looked, I don't know, that Sunday night game was pretty abysmal, but I had fun because it was my kicker versus Dak, and my kicker came out on top. So that was just fun to root for. But that aside, I don't think anyone enjoyed that game. And most of that was to do with Dak, but a lot of that also had to do with the fact that the Bucs offense looked, I don't know, interesting. Brady also absolutely destroyed Godwin by throwing that ball, was it 6 inches above the ground? And now he's out for, who knows, a couple weeks. Julio didn't look that bad, though. So that's kind of encouraging. And Fournette was looking pretty dominant. But as you mentioned, right, I sent that thing that like half their skill guys are on the injury report. So I don't know. I'm going to still go Bucks because the Saints look fine against the frisky Falcons, right? I think they kind of started to realize that they could do like they could play with a little bit more tempo, and that started to help them. But
they were playing so slow, running the ball so much that first day.
And then they kind of just said, "Oh wait, we can just kind of start airing it out."
They got dominated on the line of scrimmage too, which is crazy.
But regardless, I think it's the Bucks somewhere in the middle, right? I have them at 7th. I'll throw in my picks right now, but
I had the Bucks at 7th least confident, so around the same area, just on the other side of the equator. Yeah, I actually thought the Bucks looked pretty bad on Sunday. I mean, they were able to take advantage of just wide open holes that the Cowboys are giving Lenny. But I mean, what he was jogging out there. I mean, just
Yeah.
barely getting anywhere. I mean, it's cool he's gaining yards. But I mean, a fast walk is maybe generous to what he was doing. I don't know. They're probably just uninterested. It's the Cowboys. It's week 1. I don't. Just feels like a lot of these players don't want to be here until it's go time later in the year. But this is probably the one game they do want to be here for until January. Not super confident in the Saints at all, so I'm good with Bucks 2.5 as well.
Cool.
Next up, we got this is Commanders at Lions. Another one. This is the one I think we gotta disagree on. We got the Lions home favorites 2.5 versus the Commanders.
Okay, so I'm looking at the board here because now I see both sides.
Yeah, this is the one I thought we disagreed on.
I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion on the Commanders because I don't know. This is going to be the craziest game of the weekend. I think the Lions, kind of like last year, they're going to play a more octane style of last years games, right? So instead of losing every game by a last-second field goal, it's going to be back and forth, like 60-point over-unders, but then they're losing a field goal again, right? So I have the Lions here just because, I don't know, they played the Eagles pretty tight, right? And they somehow put 35 up on them, which I think is pretty impressive, seeing as though we thought the Eagles defense would be pretty good, right? The Eagles definitely also took their foot off the gas a little bit, I'd say, which allowed them to kind of claw back. But I don't know. It's a total toss-up, and you never know what you're going to get from Wentz. So I'll edge Lions here. I'm very excited.
82% of the cash on the Lions here. This is just, I mean, same thing as the Giants. What are we doing? I mean, I hate Washington, but come on. Lions might be one of the worst 6 teams. Yeah. What their offensive line was impressive. The way they were getting Swift and Jamal going, that was impressive. But I think a large way through that first half, Goff was like 2 of 11 for 6 yards. I mean, at the end of the day, this is not a crazy offense. Yeah, they're going to be frisky. They're going to play fast. They're going to give their weapons chances, but their quarterback is just such a funnel neck for them scoring points right now. I can't see it. I don't think Washington's that good, but they got, as bad as Wentz is, he can get the ball out and he can move an offense. He's going to make a lot of mistakes. He's going to play bad, but most of the time he can at least, you're making plays with him. Whereas Goff, it feels hopeless at times unless the other team's waving a white flag.
Right.
Good to move this more towards the middle.
Yeah,
I think, at the end of the day,
I'm cool to stick Washington. As long as we kind of drop it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like not in the middle, but you could just, drop it maybe a few pegs. I don't know. This game could go anywhere, and that's why I have it as my 4th least confident. It really is. It's one offense that on paper could be pretty prolific, right? I mean, Curtis Samuel reemerging as the guy I thought he was, right? Jahan Dotson's got some of the best hands in the league, and Terry McLaurin somehow
Gibson was being used all over.
Yeah, right. And all of a sudden,
I love their OC. Turner's great.
Yeah. And Gibson looked like the guy that everyone was drafting last year in fantasy, right? He finally is a pretty viable option, right? So they have all the weapons. I just never know what the heck to trust with Wentz. So
I think Washington. I just don't see a way Detroit. It's going to sound stupid, wins this game. Washington has to give them, win the game. Yeah. Washington has to give them this game, which, I mean, they're going to have to give it to them, not once, not twice. Wins has to throw 3 picks for them to lose this game. Right.
Which, again, is in the realm of possibility. It's kind of what I factored into my my calculus here. But
I just think an underdog, I mean, this spread could be 6 points in the other direction, I think. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. Again, I think that just to diversify ourselves a little bit here from the rest of the pack.
Middle was our sweet spot. It's when we had the high low last season. Perfect. Okay, next game we got. This will be a fun one. Dolphins at the Ravens. And we got the Dolphins. Let's see, what is it? 3.5 is the spread. We both had us in the same spot. That's funny.
Oh wow.
At least confident Baltimore. Yeah, I thought Baltimore, I mean, like I said last week, that's a spot Baltimore should probably be putting up 30, 35.
Yeah, exactly.
Jets were going 3 and out the first 3 quarters of the game. They had so many chances, and you turn on the game, and it's Justice Hill catch. It's Devin Duvernay catch. It's Kenyon Drake for 3 yards. I don't really know what was happening. They said the Jets D looked good, which I was surprised by.
Mm-hmm. They only
But
allowed, I think, like 63 yards of rushing, 63 rushing yards,
yeah,
which is more of a testament to Baltimore's current running back room. But even Lamar, like I thought Lamar would kind of break out for at least
have his way with that
yeah.
defense.
So
So it's a tough one. I thought Miami probably the more interesting matchup last week. It's funny, they looked good, but I think they had their offense was actually, even though they were moving it a bit, pretty stagnant. They had a 4th and 8 that got them a touchdown. Then I think on the turnover, they either scored on the turnover or they got really close on the turnover. I think they scored. So if you take out that 4th and 8, they only had one offensive touchdown.
right.
Hill, they got him really involved. I like the coach. Ravens at home, 3.5. I feel like these are two pretty even teams. Dobbins is going to play, but two even teams, slight edge for the Ravens.
Yep.
That was going them. But I like both. I think both of these teams are going to be competitive all year. So
yeah, they're just they feel very similar in the sense that their best is certainly yet to come. I think the Ravens just have the pedigree, right? So we'll give them the slightest of edges. Hence why we have it with our lowest.
Yeah. I'll put it. It's funny because I feel like if we both agree, there's gonna be one where we don't agree. Well, I'll put it at the bottom.
Right. Smart.
I'll move it up to like
that's a good call.
Next up we got that game's even split in Vegas too. Tickets 55% Miami, cash 51% Baltimore. So
interesting.
Next we got Browns hosting the Jets for 6.5. Let's see. I got this. Jets 6 least confident.
What do I have? Browns.
I don't know.
Browns 9th most. Yeah,
they didn't really have a big take on this game. I'm hoping the Jets have some semblance of a better offense. I mean, that was ugly last week. Also, if you look at I talked about last week, the Jets got so many weapons, and Flacco, I think I almost like him better than Wilson because I know he'll at least enable them. And if you look at the receiving, they had like 13 guys with the target. No one's getting an ample share of the targets. I mean, Flacco threw 56 times.
I think their running backs had the largest.
Yeah, they had like 20. They had like 18 targets to the running backs. The tight ends had a bunch, and then, I mean, the receivers had a lot, but that's only because they threw 60 times. But in one by one, they really didn't have a big share, which is interesting. 82% of the cash on the Jets. I don't know.
Wow.
I didn't.
Holy cow.
Yeah, they love the Jets here. Line move from 6.5 to 6, I think.
I guess. I mean, it is a pretty big spread for
two bad teams.
I don't know. My philosophy on this one is just, I mean, the Panthers are nothing to write home about, but certainly neither are the Jets. And I mean, the Browns move the ball pretty convincingly with Chubb and Hunt, as I said before. And it's kind of my thought on all of this is, as long as they can go up by a score or two, I mean, they could just run the ball. They could run the ball for days. And I love a good bit of Kareem Hunt. He can always just break off, or same with Chubb for a nice 80-yard touchdown run. So I don't know. But again, what I said before, the Jets only let up 63 yards of rushing. So I don't know if suddenly they just locked down the two backs. I don't think so, but it's a weird one. It should just go somewhere on the lower end of the middle, I think.
Yeah. I'll go with the Browns. I don't like the Jets coach at all. I think he's got to go. I mean, it sucks he's got Wilson. There's not much he can really do, but
yeah,
I don't know. It was a weird game. The Jets, I'm good with the Browns just because, the Jets ended up, the stats look good, I guess, volume wise, but they just had so many plays run because of the Ravens kind of being inept.
And they're gonna get to Flacco at least like what?
Yeah, statue back there. Maybe Mike White gets in, but that'll be lit. Next, we got the Seahawks at the Niners. Switched this last minute, moved the Niners to the lowest confidence after seeing that weather. Came through because I think San Fran was one of the more popular.
Oh yeah,
top confidence pick.
Yeah, that line was pretty. It was a touchdown, right? 6.5.
Yeah,
so touchdown would have covered it. Thank
and we moved it down because I was looking. I'm surprised everyone really took San Fran.
Mm-hmm.
So 9.5 here versus Seahawks that won us the prize last week. I had San Fran middle confidence 8.5.
Okay.
Or 9.5. I think they looked bad, but there's no way to really tell. I think it's a team that probably peaked last week in the Seahawks. Can't really see them getting much better. Bosa and company. The Seahawks O-line looked horrible. You know, they won the game, but she's two rookies out there and they're getting holding penalties. They're getting Bradley Chubb's destroying them. And now they got to go against an even better defense. I think Seattle's going to be able to hold the ball long enough to really keep Seattle from getting in catch-up mode too. And I think Lance rebounds. Kittle looks like he's going to play. So I think a big FU from Shanahan here.
Yeah, that's my outlook is this is the Trey Lance prove it game, even though it's super early in the season. His dress rehearsal was during a time where I don't know, that one of the weirdest games just camera wise I've ever seen in my life. Like there were points where you couldn't even see the players. Like the cameras were just drenched in rain. So I don't know, just right off, as we said. Nice. This is in San Fran, right? Or is it Seattle? No, it's in San Fran, I think.
San Fran. Yeah, it's in San Fran.
We'll get some gorgeous weather, no excuses, right? So this is the Trey Lance prove it show if he doesn't prove it, and if they somehow lose or maybe a last minute type of field goal win, then who knows? The Jimmy rumors will just start to increase. But yeah, I like the Niners here. You could probably move them up. I had them at third least confident, but I completely agree with your point about the Seahawks. That was their Super Bowl last weekend, and I would not be surprised if they don't win another game for the next 12 weeks.
Yeah, and as good as they played, they could have lost by 3 touchdowns. Still.
Oh, easily.
The turnovers the Seahawks had, or the turnovers the Broncos had.
Yeah.
And then you take out that first drive where Geno spins out of a sack. Looks like a Heisman guy. Throws it to Will Dissly of all people for a 50-yard touchdown. I'm not going to say too much because they won us money, but that could have been 31-7 at halftime or going into the fourth.
Yeah.
So I think the Niners will be able to get it done, and they want to prove something with Lance this week. They'll pull out the stops.
For sure.
Next up, we got our Atlanta Falcons at the LA Rams. Somehow, some way, after a great performance versus the other team everyone loves, the Saints, Vegas comes back and says, yeah, you played good. You could have been up 35-10 going into the fourth. And then we'll go make you a 10.5-point dog against a quarterback that might be 2015 Peyton. Vegas agrees because we got 74% of the cash on the Falcons. I got it at number 15. Yep. I thought they looked good in all facets last week. It's funny that the only thing I hyped up on their defense was Terrell and Hayward, and they were the ones that kind of costed them the game. More by Winston just made some airtight throws to Thomas, but I think the offense was everything I was going to say it was. It's clunky. It's like the Niners, I think people look at teams and it's like you rate them based on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are they like the Chiefs or the Bills? I guess that the Falcons are a 0, but on the other end of the spectrum, they do what they do. They're going to do it very well. Because I think their quarterback's a pro. They got 2 great weapons on the outside, and Arthur Smith knows what he's doing. They're moving the pocket. They're doing these crazy formations. They got pistols. They got Pitts going everywhere. And it's funny, people talk about Pitts only ran a route on like 70%. Yeah, it's going to hurt his stats, but I went back and I was watching the plays where he's in the backfield or the plays where he's blocking. It's like, it's kind of like if you're playing 7-on-7 football in high school, like flag football, Falcons get like 7-on-5 matchups when Pitts is in the backfield just because so many people are looking at him.
Right.
And I think that's going to continue. Even if the stats aren't there, he impacts the game in so many ways. So I think, even if Stafford's 100% healthy, I could see the Falcons being competitive in this game. 10.5 is crazy for a team that looked good against the Saints. It'd be one thing if they got blown out. They could have been up 35-10 entering the third quarter. Mariota fumbles on the 6-yard line and they end up losing. But they had 2 fumbles in that game. Actually, I don't think the Falcons are a 10.5-point dogs to a team we don't know their quarterback's health.
Yeah, no, not at all. I don't think I'm certainly not going to be able to add much more context than that. But when there's that many points against a team that, by all accounts, is nowhere near the team they were last year in the Rams, this feels like about as good of a lock as you can get. It's going to be high scoring, I think. And if it's back and forth, why not take the team that will definitely hang and is being given a touchdown and a field goal plus, right? So even a loss by 10, you're still covered. So that's just a no-brainer to me. No-brainer line.
Yeah. And I think the Rams got bullied by the Bills line last week. I don't think the Falcons are the Bills line, but I think I'd have a little bit more confidence if I knew the Rams could dominate this line of scrimmage, but
right.
Yet to be proven. So we got that for 15. Coming up next, we got our 16-pointer. Bengals at the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Only by a touchdown. I don't get this. I mean, I told you I had Burrow takes. I'll hold them back because we're putting them for 16. I'll wait till later in the year to really prove them. I don't really like Joe Burrow at all. Zach Taylor, I mean, probably the worst coach in the NFL with this roster. Just the touches he gives Joe Mixon is mind-boggling. I mean, you got a potential. I hate Burrow, but still, you got Higgins and Chase on the outside. Come on, man. Just give them give them each 12 targets a game, and you're fine. And instead, he's content with doing 3-yard runs for Joe Mixon to the point where they go down 20-0 to the Steelers. I don't get it. I mean, they're playing Cooper Rush. Looks like T. Higgins is going to play. Only 63, 80. Looks like the Sharps are on Dallas, but I'm fine riding Joe Burrow bounce back game with Chase and Higgins back healthy.
Yeah, I don't know. A healthy Dak and that offense looked absolutely lost. I mean, granted, he was making some horrible throws that even Cooper Rush might have made. But even when the skill guys had the ball in their hands, right? Like even when CD had his like 2 receptions, just not, I don't know. They just seem to lack that spark. The line is horrible now. And to your point about the Bengals, right? Just get the ball to their. I mean, it was the Jamar Chase show once again. The second is like, oh, you know what? Our backs are kind of against the wall. Let's just get the ball to this guy. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
They're going to force the issue to him the entire game, sprinkle a bit of T. Higgins. I mean, I could see this being a 30, 40 point offensive explosion, just kind of an FU to the Steelers and FU to the doubters. That said, though, only because they're playing a completely depleted, morale is low Cowboy team, right?
Doesn't get much worse. Yep.
I mean, this is about as good of a comeback spot as you can get, right? So I think they'll come back, show it in a big way, and then week 3 we'll fade the Bengals once again.
Yeah, you want to talk? Just comparing this to our second. Falcons, I think, are better than the current version of the Cowboys. Bengals are better than this Rams team, but we got the spread going the other way. You know, the Bengals get the shorter spread and the Falcons get the longer one. So
I was going to say,
in perspective,
there's no way that the Falcons and the Rams are the two most what would the word be? 2 most far apart teams.
Yeah, who's taking the Rams in Survivor? Come on.
Yeah.
No, I mean, people will, but geez, there's just way too much uncertainty, I think, with the Rams, and probably way too much certainty. The Falcons are horrible. They're a bad team, but they're not. They're competitive. They're pros. Next up, we got Texans at Broncos. 87% of people, 80% of the cash is on the Texans here.
Wow.
Broncos are.
Oh wow.
What are we getting them at?
9.5.
9.5 home. The Texans. I had the second. Oh wow, we both had second lowest.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, like I said, I think I wasn't impressed by the Broncos at all, but they still probably should have won that game 35-10.
Mm-hmm.
Texans probably did most of their explosion last week. I think their feistiness might be out the window now. So I'm good for a true explosion this week from Russ. And it's funny, just a quick note. I mean, look at Russ's passing chart. Everyone says, oh, we got to get Russ a good offensive coordinator. We got to get Russ a good offensive coordinator. You give him a new head coach, new good offensive mind, people say. And the passing chart looks the exact same. All this guy does is throw to the sidelines. He can't, maybe it's his height, maybe it's his talent. I don't know, but he doesn't take advantage of the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. I don't think it matters in this game. Just going forward, I think they should have beat the Seahawks. They will beat the Texans, but long term, it's just, I don't think Russ is ever going to be the guy to unlock an offensive scheme. And maybe him, Judy, and Sutton can carry this team for a while, but I wasn't too impressed in general by what they did.
Yeah, no, I think that looking ahead, Broncos like the Bengals can be a nice team to fade. Probably distinguish ourselves from the rest of the pack, right? I feel like the Broncos, much like the Bengals, right? It's flashy offense, big weapons, but I don't know. I think there's a lot that's left to be desired. Obviously, the Bengals and the coaching, but I'm not a big Russ guy for the reasons that you just mentioned. Also, he's just I don't know. I just can't stand him off the field.
Yeah, he's that Mr. Unlimited popped up on my timeline right before this. And I'm like, I forgot how bad this guy is.
I mean, the
Seahawks former teammates too come out after the game.
Oh yeah,
Doug Baldwin's like basically calling this guy unbearable, intolerable. So I mean, I don't like Russ. I don't think anyone likes Russ, but they'll cover here. I think they'll explode.
Yep.
And I was surprised. I mean, I didn't think Sutton looked that good. Judy, that touchdown, man, that was special.
Yeah.
When I'm not a huge Judy guy, but when he's got such a quick acceleration,
Yeah.
it's cool to watch.
I was gonna say, yeah, because that's what he was always touted as, right? Guy with a super quick first step, and it was always
Yeah,
he just
and that
quarterback.
touchdown, he's like shoulder to shoulder with a guy, and then 5 yards later, he's 3 steps ahead. It was crazy. Them running the same speed. Yeah, I wish they could get him involved more, but I just don't think his play style is really going to fit with Russ that much, for better or for worse. Okay, we got 5 games left. We'll come back. We'll do a second recording real quick, finish it out.
Sounds good.
We'll close it.
Sounds good.